Socializing is great for the soul. It is an essential part of being not just a human being, but also a thriving human being. When we go back to the last video, the other conversation we had about how to make your energy infectious, sometimes it's the case where your energy can speak for itself without you having to work on verbalize or vocalize anything at all. You take characters like Duke Dennis or King 68. For the most part, all they do is just stand in a place, maybe outside of a club or just somewhere in the open, and the women flock to them. Their energy acts as a magnet to attract the women, to attract people to them. But here's the key part. When you open your mouth and you speak, that energy that attracts them might also not be the energy that ends up keeping them based on what you say. What you say when you open your mouth could make or break the force that you use to attract them in the first place, and it could be the very force that repels them. You need to be able to have conversations with people, to be able to vocalize and verbalize your thoughts the same way that I'm doing right now. These are thoughts that I'm having. These videos that I'm making, it's not just to help others. These videos also help me personally. Being able to go back and observe the way that I'm speaking and the way that I articulate myself allows me to be able to improve myself verbally, which then translate into how I then socialize with other people as well. It is a phenomenal part of being human being. The only thing that I'll say when it comes to socializing is you don't necessarily need to talk to people all the time. It actually can be very tiring and draining. When I say socializing is good for the soul, I don't mean that you need to go up to 100 people and socialize with them every single month or have a certain amount of people. I'm saying when the opportunity presents itself, be social, talk to people, have conversations. No matter how minuscule or menial the conversations are, talk, smile. It brings joy to the spirit. It is healing to the very soul itself. You're not designed, you're not meant to be alone for a long span of time. It is true that Adam was created in the garden by himself, but he existed in that garden by himself up until a certain point where he then needed a companion that he can then socialize with. You don't necessarily even have to have friends to do this. You can socialize with acquaintances that you have, with family member. Just talk to someone. Converse with someone other than yourself. The inner world that you have that exists within you, the conversations that you have behind closed door, that you have with yourself, whether it's out loud or in your head, it is not enough. You need to be able to bounce off other people's thoughts as well, other people's form of speech, the way that they express themselves. You need to be able to to intake that and understand it. it it's a very delicate thing when you're doing that. You do not want to allow their personality to overtake you. You want to intake it so you can then understand it and know how to properly disperse that which you've taken in, so that way it does not become you, especially if that's not what you want. You need to be able to control it. Control the driving forces when you're socializing with people, when you're making conversation with people, to be able to make conversations with others, and at the same time not allow those conversations, not allow other people's thoughts and words and way of life influence you to that degree where you turn into someone that you completely find to be unrecognizable. You need to be able to be strong and firm in yourself. Your will has to be stronger than anybody that you could possibly socialize with. You have to understand, there are certain people that exist in the world whose intelligence is just at a higher capacity than others, where when you socialize with them, oftentimes based on their intellectual level, how they're able to verbalize their thoughts, they're able to articulate their thoughts, could find its way into affecting you if your will is not strong enough, if your mental capacity is not where it needs to be, which is another facet of socializing with people that's going to help you. The more you talk to people, the more you're able to understand people. We live amongst other Homo sapiens, other people. You have to understand other people if you want to be able to live amongst them. Though we have animalistic or carnal needs and desires, in our very nature, in our very makeup, we're not animals. We exist with sentient mind. We know things that animals do not. We do things that animals do not. We make choices that animals cannot make. You're a human being existing amongst other human beings. You need to know how to navigate those other human beings lest they overtake you by your inability to be able to navigate with them. Though socializing is necessary, this is almost going to sound contradictory, but it literally is not. Just pay attention. Though socializing is necessary, having moments and times to yourself is also necessary. Once again, everything comes back to balance. One of the things that I don't like, personally, when it comes to me dealing with a woman, someone of the opposite sex, let's say in a romantic sense, right? I do not like a woman that has not just a high volume of friends, but cannot separate herself from those friends for a measly 24 hours. This is where socializing works against you. When you over socialize with people, you feel the need to be friends or to be companions. You feel the need to have companionship. When that happens, you completely lose yourself in that companionship. You take away from yourself something that is very important for every person to have: individuality. You become too reliant and dependent on people. You have to take people in small doses. The reason why anybody that has conversation, that has a good time with me, are able to laugh and enjoy themselves and giggle and things of that nature is because I'm not spending most of my time socializing with people 24/7. I'm not doing a 7 day socialization feast or challenge or anything like that. For the most part, I socialize with people maybe once or twice a week. That is what brings meaning to my socialization with others when I do it. When I do take the moments to be able to socialize with people, the reason why I'm able to protrude an energy that is enjoyable to the people that are involved is because I haven't been spending my time talking to people all the time, which in turn has not made me irritable to speaking to people. Me personally, I need to take people in very small doses. I do not require I don't have the need to exist with other human beings on a 24/7 basis. I don't need to talk to people all the time. I quite frankly do not necessarily like talking to people all the time because a lot of like once again it goes back to what I said about not allowing other people's personalities and their verbal capabilities to overtake you. A lot of people, quite frankly, do not possess a high intellectual capacity. I'm not sitting here saying I'm the smartest person in the world. I just know I'm not the dumbest. I'm not the smartest person in the world. But my God, do there exist a lot of unintelligent people out there in the world? I cannot exist within such unintelligence all the time. It is negatively going to affect me, not just me, but my outlook of others as well. I cannot allow my inner world to be tainted like that. You need to be able to go through times of just confiding within yourself, talking to yourself, and not talking to people, but also be able to take some time to then talk to people. The only way you can properly do something like that is if you find a good balance in which you can conversate or converse with people, but at the same time spend some time in isolation by yourself, even if it's just 24 hours. You don't need to talk to people all the time, but you should not be alone for a long span of time. It is going to cause you to lose touch with people. It's going to cause you to lose touch with the very core meaning of being human, of having sentient mind and life. You need to be able to talk to other people that are just like you, that are human beings. But you also don't need to socialize with them on a 24/7 basis. You don't need to converse every single day, every single week, every single month. But you do need to stay in touch. You have to stay in touch with everybody. I'm telling you, take it from me, who has gone through times of isolation and solitude, who actually, I enjoy my alone time so much. I kid you not, it can literally be so addictive sometimes, especially when you mix that alone time with you then doing work. It can be very extremely addictive. You cannot allow yourself to succumb to such an addiction. It is going to cause you to lose touch with others. You're going to enjoy it too much, and it is ultimately going to put a void inside of you. It is going to make you feel empty at some point. You cannot find addiction within the void. You cannot allow yourself to find enjoyment within that emptiness, because the emptiness is only going to increase into a bottomless pit, a bottomless pit of utter despair and loneliness. You need to be able to speak to others. It is so good and so healing to the very spirit, to the very soul. It is even biblical, in fact, because if that's not the case, how if you think about the makeup of the universe, all the creatures that possess intelligent minds that exist, not just human, go beyond the physical realm, the earthly realm, in heaven, in the place where God's throne resides. Who is there with him? There are angels, a plethora of them, not just one, a plethora of them that are able to socialize with one another. Even the angels can't be alone. Even the angels have, I don't want to say companions the way we do, but they have someone to socialize with. They have other angels. They're their brethren. If God if God willed it for man to be alone for such a long time, why did he make a companion for Adam? Why make an Eve? Why not just let man stew in his despair, work in the garden, in the field, work for his keep, and die in his loneliness and isolation? Why make a partner? Why make a pair, a counterpart to man? Why then make brothers and brethren for man to break bread with? You you cannot allow yourself to succumb to the darkness of isolation. Isolation is a good thing. It is a necessary thing. It is a time you have to go through at some point, both for man and woman. It is a time that you need in order to be able to focus your thoughts on the goals and ambition and the mission that you have. But my God, the addiction that comes within that isolation can be so, it can feel too good sometimes. Not having other people's problems be your problem. That's what your mind is going to tell yourself. That's what you're literally going to tell yourself. The gift that comes with being by yourself, being alone, is the fact that you don't have to deal with other people's problems. All you have to deal with is your problem, because you already know and you think that you're going through a lot, probably going through more than anybody, according to your thoughts and your ideology. You believe that to be so. Most people, most human beings believe that their problem surpasses everyone else's problem. They all think that they are the center of the universe as individuals, right? That is the gift. That is literally the greatest joy that comes with being by yourself, the isolation. You don't have to listen to other people's problems. And even more so, you don't have to fix their problems. You allow them to literally lie in the bed that they make for themselves. You allow them to make and break themselves to cause and fix their own problems. You allow them to be them. And you don't have to be involved in them being them, in the process of them being who they are. It feels good. It feels almost fulfilling in a moment. But then you go 2 weeks without socializing. Then the pit starts to deepen. You go 3 weeks without socializing. There's something doesn't feel quite right. You go 4 weeks without socializing. There's a void. There is a black abyss that exists within you now. You cannot pinpoint it. You cannot necessarily track down where this is coming from, why you feel like this. Why is there this pit in the very center of my stomach? I enjoy my time alone, but for some absurd reason, there is just something missing. I am doing the work that is necessary of me. I am making money. I'm following my mission, my ambition. I'm doing all that God has told me to do, all that God has preordained for me to do, the assignment that was given to me. So why do I still feel like this? And it's amazing the moment you actually talk to somebody and you have a real conversation with them and you share just even 30 seconds of a smile, and your very spirit just feels overjoyed. You can't even fathom this feeling. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't understand it. That is literally the gift, the joy, the treasure that comes with being able to converse with other people, being able to socialize with your fellow brethren. Taking people in small doses is the best way that you can do that. Still keep your sanity, not feel this spite or anger or just annoyance towards people. Socialize, but do not overdo it. There is a famous saying that goes, um, the famous saying that goes, just because this saying goes something around, just because something is good for you doesn't mean that you need to consume it all the time. Too much of no, the saying is too much of a good thing is not good for you. Whether something is good or bad, if you take it in high doses, in a high quantity, even something as beneficial as vegetables or fruits, they're good for your very body. If you take too much of it, it is going to literally be counterproductive. It is going to work as a double-edged sword. Some people forget the fact that in their juicing and drinking fruit juices, they forget that still contains sugar. Yes, it's natural sugar, excuse me. Yes, it's natural sugar, but it's still sugar nonetheless. Sugar still affects the body virtually the same way. So you can still grow cavities and have internal damage from overtaking something as beneficial as fruits and certain vegetables, because they still, for the most part, contain properties that, if taken too much, can literally harm the body. Taking lemon shots are great for you, so science says, but they also contain a lot of acid. If you take too much, it can be quite irritable to the very stomach. Socialization is great for you. It is great for the soul. It is great for the spirit. I know that I keep saying it over and over again. The repetition, you need to understand what I'm saying. My repetition is purposeful. It is great for the soul. It is great for the spirit. But my God, can people actually be annoying? If you take them in too high of a dosage, they're going to literally be irritable to you. That's why you need to find a proper balance where you're able to talk to others, talk to your fellow brethren, your brothers, your sisters, your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, but not take too much of them. It is going to take your sanity as well. Too much isolation will quite literally take your sanity away. Too much socialization also will take your sanity away if taken in high dosage. If you can balance the two, where, let's say hypothetically, 3 days out of the week, you're by yourself. The rest of the 4 days out of the week, You mix being by yourself, because at some point you need time to work, to actually do your work. You mix being by yourself with also socializing. That dynamic is going to do the trick. It's going to do the job. Those 4 days where you're mixing both working, your time of work, and then also your time of isolation and being by yourself, and not necessarily having to to talk to other people or socialize with other people, that is a good balance right there. It's a good start. But you have to start somewhere. You need to talk to someone, man. You need to speak to other people at some point. You cannot allow yourself to go too long without talking to other people. You're going to lose touch of what makes you a human being, what makes you a person, what makes you sentient. You cannot do that. Like you need to feed your soul, feed your spirit. That is what is going to survive in the end. Your body at some point is going to die, but your spirit will always remain. Now, your spirit can remain depleted by you depriving yourself of something like that, depriving yourself of the socialization, and also depriving yourself of the time of isolation where you can then confide in yourself, confide with your own thoughts and your own psyche. You need to find the proper balance. You need to take care of your soul most importantly. It is what the enemy wants. It is what the devil wants. The devil cares not for your body. He doesn't care about your freaking mind. You're not as smart as you think you are. You're just not. It doesn't matter how much intelligence you've amassed. You don't know nearly as much as he does. He wants your soul. In a time of isolation, that is when your soul is the most prime for the taking. Why? Because that much time of isolation creates depression. It is very depressing to not have someone else that you feel cares about you to some degree. It is going to put you in a very dark and gloomy state of mind that is ultimately going to lead to the same thing, depression. And depression is where people are their weakest and their most vulnerable for the taking. They will do virtually anything to get out of that depression, anything to feel something. The feeling that you need, that you're trying to use drugs, weed, alcohol, whatever, drugs to try to, you're trying to compensate for, that you're trying to feel. That feeling, that lack of feeling that you have, more or less comes from you not only you not socializing, but not socializing with the right people. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention? There's also right people to socialize. When I say socialize, that does not necessarily mean you just talk to the nearest crackhead down your block or down your street. What's the point of that? It's kind of like counterproductive. What is socializing with this crackhead going to do for you? Mentally, he's gone. He's gone mentally. He's in a very dark and depressed state of mind. And if you already exist in such a dark and depressed state of mind, he is going to make your condition worse. You need to not only socialize, but socialize with the right people, with people that possess the right frequency and energy that you need for your soul to literally be intact, for you not to be sad, for you not to be crying yourself to sleep for whatever reason, or just being depressed or gloomy all the time. You need, oh my God, you need that release. You need the spiritual release. Allow yourself to have such a release. Allow your soul to feel. Allow your spirit to grow, your spirit to evolve. Allow your spirit to you have to let your spirit heal, man. You have to let it heal. And it's not going to happen all the time from you just being by yourself. Yes, time time helps. Time heals. Time allows you to be able to literally take every single thing that has happened to you, every single thing, good or bad, to compile them into somewhat of like a mental collage, and just go through the files and discern what you should have done or what you shouldn't have done in certain moments. Time helps with that. Isolation helps with that. Through isolation, can one truly be their true self? Can really exist in a space where they can fully understand themselves. Once you get into that space where you now understand yourself, you have to come to the rational conclusion, because it is truth, that you are not the only person that exists under the sun. There are other people that also exist as well. There are also other people that exist that you need to live amongst others, lest you succumb to what? Some type of cannibalistic mentality, some type of kill or be killed. We're not that deep into being animals. Some people, yes, are Neanderthals, but my God, we haven't regressed that far back into chimp days and being freaking monkeys and just being low-minded freaking primates. We're human beings. We have sentient minds, a sentient life. We have the ability to think, the ability to feel, the ability to speak and communicate with ourselves, not just in one language, in multiple different language, man. Like, just that in itself is so fascinating. How can you look like me yet speak a language that I do not understand? That in itself is so mind-boggling. It's so fascinating to me. You can have a black man, a man that's even darker than me, that's even the darker complexion than me, speaking a language that is so foreign to me. I'm looking at him like he's speaking a language from heaven or something. Like he's speaking like he invented a damn language himself or something. Like, just things like that. There are many things to gain enjoyment from, especially when it comes to talking to other people, understanding other people, their walk of life, what they know, where they've come from to the point of where they are right now. This is not to say that you just need to go to anybody and just start asking for their life story. Just laugh, feel joy. Allow your spirit to feel joy. You've allowed your body to feel so much joy. Like, literally, how selfish could you be to your own self? You have fed your body, you fed your mind even. You fed your mind and your body so freaking much. Look at your body. Either you fed it, sometimes you even feed it the wrong stuff. So now you're either malnourished and skinny as hell, or you're just overfed and you're fat. You're overfed and you're fat. You fed your body, you fed your mind. Why are you depriving your very spirit, your soul, the very thing that keeps you alive, the very thing that makes you human? Why are you depriving that? Why are you punishing yourself? Literally, why are you punishing your own soul? Why are you punishing your own spirit? That doesn't make any sense, because that's literally what you're doing when you take that long without talking to people. You're literally punished, because when you take advice from people like David Goggins or a bunch of UFC fighters, the advice, or boxing fighters or whatever, the advice they give is good to a degree, right? He says you need to go to your own mental closet and things like that. Dude, all that is very true. I've literally said it literally through the span of this entire video. You do need to take some time to yourself. But my God, in taking that time with yourself, the longer, the greater the duration of that time to yourself goes, the more you're literally starving your very soul and your spirit. You can see as some of these men, to a degree, they look depleted themselves. When they ask questions about happiness, the natural answer is, well, happiness is not a focus. Neither am I saying that happiness is necessarily a focus, right? Your soul can feel joy without you necessarily prioritizing happiness. You need to bring joy to the spirit, to the soul. You need to feed it. The fuel for the soul, the necessary fuel for the soul to grow, for the soul to evolve, for the soul to thrive, is joy. It is peace. It is excitement to a degree. You need to feed your soul. You fed your mind and your body enough. You are very, you're very philanthropic with your very body and your mind. But to your spirit, you're selfish and stingy as hell. That doesn't make any sense. Because the spirit will always remain, but the body will perish. The body will die at some point, but your very spirit, your very core, that's what remains. So why are you starving literally at the end of it all? The only thing that is going to remain of you, that is going to remain of the memories you leave in people's mind to a degree is superfluous, because you're not going to be around to experience that memory, because your soul will be taken elsewhere. You will be alive through your soul. You've been alive through other people's minds. That's good for them, but it literally benefits you nothing, because you're not going to be around for it. Once your time is up, you're simply just not going to be around for it. So what's the point of that? Really? Respectfully, what is literally the point of that? Like, you living on in other people's memory is great for the people that are still alive, the people that still press on, that still march, that still tarry until the end for their end. But to you, all you're left with is literally just your spirit. Is literally just your soul. You need to feed your spirit. You need to feed your soul. You need to feed it the proper and necessary food, the fuel it needs to be able to thrive, to allow you to thrive. Feed your soul, man. Give it the natural, the vitamins, the nutrients it needs. Socialization, brotherhood, sisterhood, if you will. You need to feed it. Feed your spirit. Feed it with the necessary component in order for it to go through the, how do I say, to go through the strains of life it needs to go through, the stresses of the world, to be able to survive, to be sustained. Feed it what is necessary for it to exist in such a dark and ultimately gloomy world. There is joy within this world. There is joy in every corner that exists sadness and misery. There also exists joy. There's also joy. It's like saying wherever light exists, shadows also exist. Thus, wherever shadows exist, guess what is also there causing that shadow? Light. Equal forces. Balance. Balance. You need balance. Balance yourself. Give your soul what it needs. Don't just feed your mind and your body. Feed your spirit too. It needs it. It's literally crying out to you. Hear its cry and satiate its needs and desires. Satisfy it with the proper nutrient that it needs to grow, which that nutrient really is one of the nutrients that is necessary for it to grow, obviously, is socialization, companionship. You need like brotherhood, like just talk to people, man. Just speak to other people. Talk to other people. Have conversations with people. Laugh with people. Cry with people. Feel joy with people. Just be at peace with people. That is also biblical. I beseech you, brethren, that you all be at peace with one another. Be at peace with yourself, man. Feed your soul.